to you from the beautiful Capernaum Studios in Texas, where we are part of the Content 2021 conference right now, a great media conference that's just filled with a lot of people that are working in this industry, which is what I love about it, because I get to meet a whole lot of them, or I get to see some that I've met before, but I'm able to bring them in here and interview them. Today, we have somebody, in fact, let me start this way. Here come the judge. I don't know if you all remember that TV show, but anyway, we have somebody who has been a judge, has been an assistant prosecutor. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna mess this up. He preaches like a pastor, so he's been a pastor before, and there's something else that he wants to share with us today. Welcome, please, Fred Mosley.
Thank you,
Fred, good to have you here today.
My blessing to be here.
So you've been enjoying the conference?
Oh, yes, I have.
It's a great conference, isn't it?
Great conference, absolutely.
Well, tell us a little bit about who you are, a little bit of your history. You got about 6-7 minutes to kind of share with us
That's
a little
all?
bit about that. That's all. We should make this a 30-hour program so we can get everything about you. But yeah, go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Born and reared in the deep south, Birmingham, Alabama, the youngest of 5 children. My dad was a coal miner. My mother did not work out of the home. First in my family to have the experience of attending and finishing college. After the bachelor's degree, went on to law school and earned the Juris Doctor degree and a Master of Laws degree after that. My first work experience was with the United States Justice Department as a trial attorney in antitrust division. At 25 years of age, I was going around the country investigating antitrust violations, major corporations, and large law firms that were representing them. Then from the Justice Department as an assistant county prosecutor, where I tried a number of cases, including death penalty cases. Ooh. Then on into private practice for a number of years, and after that, being elected to the bench as a judge.
As a judge. And by the way, that's why I'm having you on here, is because you're not just a judge that plays one on TV. You actually were a judge.
I was a judge.
But you also play one on TV now, because you have a TV show in which you are basically a judge.
That is correct. That is correct.
Tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, we refer to it as Laws of Life Court TV.
Okay.
And how that came about, Isaac, is that I was reading in 1 Corinthians 6, if I recall correctly, where the Apostle Paul was admonishing believers that we should not be taking our disputes to secular courts. And along with that, I just happened to be watching some of these secular court TV programs, and I would assume now there are probably 15 or more
There's so many of them, isn't there?
And all of them deal with secular laws.
Yes.
So the Spirit of God impressed upon me as I was watching one of these programs that this is something I have assigned you to do. That you're going to be dealing with the laws of the kingdom as opposed to secular laws. And that's how Laws of Life Court TV came about. Whereas we take any given fact situation, because every fact situation embodied in that fact situation is at least one or more kingdom laws. It may be a law of the spirit of life, law of sin and death. It may be the law of sowing and reaping. It may be the law of notice and warning. It's going to be at least one law of life that's embedded in any fact situation.
Oh, my goodness.
So as these fact situations come before Laws of Life Court, then as I sit as the presiding judge, I discern the laws of life that pertain to that particular matter. We interrogate the litigants based upon those laws of life. Then we come to a conclusion and adjudication based upon one or more of those laws of life.
Wow. And the idea is then when you finish that, is that there's a form of reconciliation? Because I'm imagining that there would be a break of
and
trust.
that's what we're striving towards.
I see.
Reconciliation.
Oh, that is terrific. And how long have you been doing that show?
We've been doing that show now for about 6 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
My goodness. Now, of course, there's more to your story.
Yes, there is.
There is more to your story. Why don't you, I know before we started the show, you mentioned to me something that I had no idea about, and that was that you had also been incarcerated at some point.
That is correct. Isaac, while I was on the bench.
While you were on the bench?
I was indicted by a federal grand jury and by a state grand jury for receiving kickbacks from contractors that were working for the city wherein I sat on the bench.
Oh, wow.
I was facing, Isaac, 132 years of incarceration. Went through a federal trial, found guilty, sentenced to 10 years in the federal system with a concurrent 12 years in the state system. When I was in my early 40s, I was sentenced to a federal prison in Big Spring, Texas. Now, my family was with me, of course, in Ohio when all this occurred, but I was sentenced to a federal prison in Big Spring, Texas. And while I was there, that's when I inquired, Lord, how in the world could this have happened? How could I have fallen from the highest echelon of the legal profession? Now I'm finding myself in what is considered to be the lowest echelon of the legal profession. And the Spirit of the Lord impressed upon me that I thought that those years I spent in law school, those years I spent as a federal and state prosecutor on the secular bench, that I thought it was for the secular world, and the Holy Spirit impressed upon me it was for what now I have called you to do. And that is the laws of life. You violated the laws of life. You were operating on the negative side. You planted some negative seeds. As a result, you are now receiving a negative harvest. But by and through my Spirit, I'm going to show you how to turn a negative harvest around. I'm going to teach you these laws of life, and your mandate is going to be for you to teach other believers these laws of life that I'm going to teach you while you're incarcerated. So while I was in the lockup, that's when these laws of life came to me.
Wow. So I'm going to be honest with you here. So you were found guilty because you were guilty.
I was guilty.
Wow.
Yes.
Were you a Christian at the time?
Yes. I was studying for the ministry at that same time.
You know what? We got to take a little break. I got to take a little breather here. And when we come back, I've got to hear then what, I've got to hear about this experience a little more. I know that we're always so short on time here, but I feel like I definitely need to hear that. This might really touch somebody. This might impact somebody.
Yeah.
So, folks, don't go away. We'll be right back.
This is Holly on Hollywood.
Hi, I'm Holly McClure with a Holly on Hollywood movie review. Let's take a look.
There's two kinds of people, Dad. The ones who have a Bebot and the ones who don't.
Hey, guys.
Oh, sorry, I'm in your shot.
Oh, I have a filter for that.
Ron's Gone Wrong is an animated adventure about 11-year-old Barney, voiced by Jack Dylan Grazer, a socially awkward middle schooler who wants a Bebot robot like all the other kids. Barney's dad, Ed Holmes, can't afford a new Bebop for Barney's birthday, so he gets an irregular one. The broken codes in Ron, voiced by the hilarious Zach Galifianakis, causes a lot of problems, and soon the Bebot company wants to deprogram Ron. But Barney likes Ron just the way he is and goes into hiding to save him. In the end, the two end up saving each other. The PG animated adventure has lots of messages for tweens and teens about fitting in with other kids, being cool and popular on social media, dealing with school bullies, having no friends, and how being unique is a good thing. There's some mild bathroom humor and kids making fun of a meme about Poop Girl on social media. Ron causes a lot of chaos among the students when he bumps into the other kids' bebops and accidentally changes their programming. The jokes and silly banter between Barney and Ron make the movie. Galifianakis' voice is perfect for Ron and makes the dialogue even funnier. There's also an important message about companies marketing to kids for their addiction to products and technology. So parents, this is a great opportunity to discuss that subject with your kids. Ron's Gone Wrong is just right for the whole family.
Not fun. Where is it?
Find the rogue.
We don't need anyone else. I currently have one friend.
That is sad and also tragic.
Run for it!
No problem. Are we having fun with me? Hey, buddy, how's the Bebop?
Both of you, hands where I can see them.
Maybe turn it off and on again.
Remember to choose your movies wisely.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. We are coming to you from Capernaum Studios, where we are part of the Content 2021 Media Conference. And we've been talking here with Fred Mosley, who just blew my mind. And you know what? It does. First of all, it does show that just because we become Christians doesn't mean we become perfect, doesn't it?
This is correct. We're not.
And
No.
we make mistakes.
We make mistakes. Yes.
And sometimes those mistakes are what bring us even closer to God. Not that
Yes.
we should be making them,
Right.
but when we do, we don't have to feel like we are condemned forever,
Absolutely.
right? So you were a Christian
Yes.
when you were doing this.
Yes.
And then you said in prison, is that where you reconnected? Usually people find God in prison. You already knew God.
I already knew God.
So
yes.
you reconnected because of this.
Because of this. And while in federal prison, that's when the Spirit of the Lord revealed to me my true purpose in the kingdom. That is to learn how these kingdom laws operate, teach these kingdom laws to the body of Christ. The Spirit of God required, Isaac, that for each of these laws of life, as they were revealed, I had to have an Old Testament foundational scripture and a New Testament foundational scripture. Each of these laws of life I had to begin in Genesis, tracing them as absolutes all the way through the Old Testament, into and throughout the New Testament, before I could refer to them as absolutes, as being kingdom laws of the laws of life.
Right.
Spirit of God then revealed to me that he was going to give me 50 of these laws of life to develop. But first of all, that he was going to show me how to turn a bad harvest around, by and through, operating on the positive side of the law of sowing and reaping.
Now, laws of the world, our normal legal laws, sometimes have loopholes.
Most of them do.
There's little loopholes you can get around. Are there any loopholes in the laws of life?
None whatsoever. You're either operating on the
Absolute.
positive side or on the negative side of each of these laws of life. And Isaac, they're absolute. They're not respecters of persons. They deal with you the same way they deal with me, or the billionaire, or the one who has multiple degrees, or the one who's socially connected, the one who's in the high echelon of a religion. It doesn't matter who you are. Just like these natural laws operate, not respecters of persons. I know most people like to use the law of gravity as an example. It's a good example. But nevertheless, it's not a respect of persons. It impacts everyone the same way. We use several natural laws to make the point of how absolute these laws of life are. Isaac, if I wanted to sit on the chair that you're seated on, I could not sit on the chair because there's a law involved. Two bodies cannot occupy the same space at the same time. We respect that law. You and I right now, we're in the state of Texas, but when I get ready to go back to Ohio, would I go through California? No, I would not, because there's another law, the law of distance. The shortest distance between 2 points is always a straight line. So God uses those things we can see to help us to better understand the things we cannot see, and he wants to make clear the absoluteness of his laws.
Wow. And the other thing that I just thought about right now is that the natural laws, the laws of the land, can affect maybe your next few weeks or your next few months or your next few years.
Yes.
Maybe even your entire life if you're convicted for life.
Yes.
But the laws of the kingdom affect our entire forever,
Yes,
and
they
ever.
do. Yes, they do.
Right?
Yes, they do.
So if we break those laws, we're not just going to get, we're not just going to suffer maybe for a few weeks or a few months. We may end up suffering forever because we will not make it to eternity.
The first one, as you allude to, is the law of the spirit of life and the law of sin and death. I understand, 7-8 billion people on the planet right now, something in that area. There's no middle ground, Isaac. You're on one side of that law, or you're on the other side. You're either under the law of the spirit of life in Christ Jesus, or you're under the law of sin and death. And you're going to spend eternity as it relates to one or more of those laws of life. But one way, as believers, see, God has made a law, a higher law than his judgment. And that is the law of mercy. James 2:13, God has made his mercy a higher law than his judgment.
Yes.
That King David understood that.
Yes.
King David always fell and relied upon the law of mercy. And you know what I say to people when I have an opportunity to talk about these laws of life? If you don't have a mercy account, you better open one. You're going to need it. You're going to need some mercy.
No matter whether it be a little, one or a big one, you need that mercy, don't you?
And if not just you, there's a lot of imputation. The way I live and the way you live, it's imputed to our children, to our grandchildren. If I planted good seeds, and when I say this, I don't mean out of our own strength, because it's the grace of God that keeps us on the positive side of these laws of life. But as you and I plant good seeds along the way, our children benefit from it, by and through the law of imputation, our grandchildren, all of our family members, people around us. But also, the negative of that is also true. These laws of life are real. They're active in all of our lives on a regular basis. And we could take hours and talk about it.
I know we could. This is much more fascinating than I thought it was going to be. And so through this TV show that you do, basically you're teaching this as you judge the various
cases. That's correct.
That is terrific. Now, so if people want to find out how they can watch that show or how they can follow you, how they can see what maybe you'd be planning for in your future, how would they do that? You have a website?
Our website is Justice Ministries, INTL, abbreviation for international.com. We have another website for the Laws of Life Court. It's lawsoflifecourttv.com. And that tells you about our ministry, Justice Ministries, as well as the Laws of Life Court TV program.
That's fantastic. I'll be putting those on lower graphics so that people can get it and they'll follow you and they'll know everything that you're doing, which is, again, I say it's fascinating. Thank you for taking some time to come in today. I know that we're all very busy during this conference. You've been enjoying the conference?
Oh, yes, very much so.
Fantastic.
Very much so.
Well, thank you again. Folks, don't go away. We'll be right back with another update from Holly McClure.
This is Holly on Hollywood.
Hi, I'm Holly McClure with a Holly on Hollywood movie review. Let's take a look.
It's expired, sir.
Come on, man. You know how many times I've been in and out of this gate with that?
Excuse me?
What's the odds on ISIS?
Step out of the vehicle, sir.
You want me to step out?
Dog stars Channing Tatum as Jackson Briggs, a U.S. Army Ranger veteran who's trying to get back with his unit after recovering from an injury. When his Army buddy, Sergeant Riley Rodriguez, dies, Briggs is assigned to bring Riley's canine military dog to his funeral across the country. The dog has PTSD, doesn't get along with anyone, and he can't fly. So after the funeral, Briggs is supposed to deliver Lulu to be euthanized. Along the way, the two become buddies and provide healing for each other. The PG-13 is for strong language, drinking, mature themes about death, suicide, and mental health issues in the military. There's a few sexual suggestive situations, like Briggs thinking he's going to have a threesome, it doesn't happen, and trying to pick up women in a bar. Briggs chases after Lulu and ends up on a marijuana farm enjoying some edibles. And he also visits his ex-wife briefly, trying to connect with his estranged young daughter, but that never gets explained or developed. The story isn't believable except for the part where it shows the crazy Portland and Los Angeles population is unsafe, overrun by drugs, and generally crazy. Tatum is charming, the dog is lovable, and there's a happy ending for both. But parents, as you can see, this is not a children's movie just because it stars a dog.
Best hug. You've never had a Lulu hug? No, we don't exactly hug. So you telling me that Nuke was just as messed up as Lulu?
I had to work him every day for 6 months. When he stopped struggling, that's when I realized maybe I could stop struggling too.
It's okay. It's just lightning, right?
Look at that!
She's never slept in a nice bed before.
There ain't no shame in wanting a big comfy mattress. I was hoping you might have a room for me and my little girl.
Is that a Purple Heart? Was she wounded?
Yes, she was.
Thank you for your service.
I've never seen this dog exhibit any aggressive behavior before.
Never. She loves people. Oh my God, I can see. You're definitely not the girl I thought I'd be in the tub with, but I'll take what I can get at this point, I guess.
Remember to choose your movies wisely.
Welcome back to Fifth on Film for our Holly on Hollywood segment with Holly McClure. Holly, how are you doing today?
Great, Isaac. Good to be with you as always. And I'm excited to talk about this show. We've got a couple of interesting things for adults and some warnings for parents with little ones.
Okay, well, we just finished seeing your review on Dog. And while it does have a dog, but I'm not sure it's intended to be for kids.
I tell you, it is not for kids. And the thing is it's kind of Channing Tatum's time in theaters right now. He's got a couple of movies with a Lost City and Dog that's in there. You would think, oh, Dog, it's got a dog, and so it's kid friendly because of the. No, it's really not. What this movie shows is a military guy going back to the funeral of a friend, taking his dog back that served with him. But in the course of it, it's the adventures they go through because the dog doesn't want to fly. So it's, of course, what they both go through going cross country. And yeah, there's some funny scenes which are in the commercials, but there's also some sexually implied scenes. He wants to have a threesome with two girls. Doesn't happen, but still there's all that. Goes into a bar, there's pole dancers, no nudity, but so there's some things that take place that you don't want your kids seeing, and the heavy themes of suicide and trying to prevent someone who feels suicidal because of PTSD. And so yes, older people will enjoy it, mature teens will enjoy it, but it is not a kid-friendly dog movie. You will be disappointed if you go to this with your children.
It used to be that if you especially in the family genre, that if you stuck a dog or a horse in a movie, you had instant success. But
that's what they say, isn't it? Put a dog in the movie or a kid, and you've got an instant. And that's what I think people see. There was, again, parents there at the screening I was at with kids, and like young kids, 6, 7, 8, and they had no business being there. And I think they thought, oh, it'll be one of those dog, journey movies. But they were, I think, embarrassed once they got in there because, there's no graphic stuff, but it's enough implied. The dog accidentally stumbles onto a marijuana farm, and they take a few nibbles and get kind of goofy, and a guy tries to trap him, and it's just, again, something that little ones shouldn't go to. But there is a movie out there that I'm betting parents are going to want to take kids to, and again, parents beware, The Lost City. The Lost City is Sandra Bullock, and so you get Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, and of course she's this author. It's kind of reminiscent of the 1980s Romancing the Stone. Remember that movie? It's that kind of a thing where she's an author and she's at a book tour, and Channing Tatum plays the gorgeous model that's on all the covers of all her books, and Daniel Radcliffe plays the bad guy billionaire who wants to kidnap her and find the real lost city. So he does, and it's how Channing goes to rescue him. In the course of rescuing, he gets someone to help him, a very handsome Brad Pitt. But in the end, when they're in this city and they're looking for the treasure, it ends up that those two. And now you think, okay, well, that sounds great. Okay, parents, and it's on commercials. There's a scene where they go through the river and they get out of the river, and he pulls his pants down. He's got leeches all over him, and there is a full butt shot. And I'm just telling you, it's in there. So it's in context with what she's trying to do, take the leeches off, but it's pretty graphic. And then he turns around. We don't see him when he turns around, but there's her whole facial expression. There's dialogue. There's sexual innuendos. So I'm just saying, I don't recommend this for little children. I don't recommend it for kids. It's really, when you see PG-13, please believe the rating. Please believe it. It's PG-13. And again, there's nothing more graphic than that, but there is violence. There's one character who you think his head's getting blown off. There's, and it's just, they don't show it graphically, but blood splatters. So it's stuff like that. Now, in the end, I have to say, it's a happy ending, and I was surprised at the ending even more so. So it's a happy ending for all. Funny, there's an actor, Oscar Nunez, who was in The Promise with Sandra Bullock. He played that comedic character in the Promise. He's in this as well. So there's some funny, lighthearted humor, but you need to be careful for your little ones and judge for the 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds if you think that's appropriate or not. Again, that's The Lost City. Rated PG-13. For kids, there's a show out right now called Rescued by Ruby, and it is about this guy who wants to join the elite canine unit, a state trooper, and he partners up with this dog that he gets from the pound, and it's how they form this relationship. It's based on a true story called The Dog Wink Ruby. It's a short story from the book Dog Winks by Squire Rushnell, Isaac, and Louise Duff. So they made this movie. We both know Squire. He's been in the business for several years, a long time. And he's made this movie. It's on Netflix, and it's starting this weekend.
Finally,
It's called
something for kids.
Rescued by Ruby, yeah, and again in Kanto Sing too. But this is kind of the time. Okay, there's another movie, The Adam Project. The Adam Project with Ryan Reynolds, and it's got a kid in it, and it's where he's from the future and he goes back to change something in history. Well, it ends up he goes back to his house when he was a kid. Mm-hmm. So when the kid Ryan Reynolds sees the adult him, and it's how he has asked him to help him rescue and the world, and save it from the evil that's trying to overtake it. There's a lot of space shoot 'em up stuff. Funny, it is hilarious. But again, because of the language, it's not, I wouldn't say younger children friendly unless that just goes over your kid's head. There's a lot of one-liners that are hysterical because Ryan Reynolds does that. And the kid is really smart alecky because he's a young Ryan Reynolds. But it's sweet because there's also a story about the father relationship and how they missed growing up and having a father and how the single mother really took care of him and how the little boy didn't really appreciate his mother, but went from the adult perspective, the adult tells them appreciate your mom, mom because of what she did. So there's some redeeming things in it. It's got a happy ending, lots of laughs, and that's the Adam Project, and that's out in theaters right now as well. So yes, there are a few things that I think, again, parents have to discern for themselves, but and decide what you want your kids to see or not. A little bit of violence in that, but it's more like Star Wars, like choo 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 lasers, shoot them up. It's not anything graphic. It's not. So right. I liked that. I thought it was hilarious. So again, those are some of the things that are out there right now that gives you kind of a selection. And they're releasing other, animated films for kids. There's a movie on Disney called Red. It's Red. PG-13. It's an animated with live action about a character who gets her menstrual cycle. And that's supposed to be for kids. No, I do not. It's definitely for teens and maybe tweens, but it's when you turn on Disney and you see, Red and this character, and you think, that's great, let's watch it. You will quickly turn it off when you've got little ones, I'm telling you, because there's things in there that are not appropriate.
Yeah, you have to admit, Disney's really turned quite a bit in their content.
Haven't they?
From what it used to be when we were kids.
Oh, you used to could say Disney PG, it's safe. Yep. Disney PG-13 kind of safe. There's just a few little things. Not anymore. And the agenda that they are pumping into movies, this one in particular, they're trying to change gender, change the attitudes that girls and boys have about themselves. I just don't approve of it.
Well, once again, we've run out of time today, but Holly, thank you for bringing these insights to our audience, who really needs to know what's in some of these movies, especially if they plan on taking their kids. But even for themselves, if they think, this is not something that I personally would want to watch, even though I'm an adult. Again, if you guys want to reach out to Holly, you can just do so by writing us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. I will make sure that she gets those emails, and then she'll respond to you. Holly, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Isaac, so much. Good to be with you.
Folks, we'll see you next week.